Welcome to Conscious Living Collective, where transformation is not just a concept, but an experience. My name is Tomek. I'm a scientist, teacher, and transformation coach. In this live session, we blend the latest in scientific research, the deep wisdom of mindfulness, and the art of fulfilled living. This is an invitation to have a direct experience, to rewrite your story, and to emerge with a renewed sense of purpose and well-being. Welcome to today's session of Conscious Living Collective. For those of you who are here on a regular basis, know this is a new time frame because I thought, why not to add another weekly session of Conscious Living Collective? I personally am in deep need of emotional healing. I'm in a deep need of community. So rather than just doing it once a week, I added an extra session on Monday, or for those of you who are in the US time zone, Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon. And I hope you will enjoy this, and you will most importantly join me in this conscious exploration of the space of our living to contribute in a positive way to your well-being, to help you live a life of fulfillment and passion, I would say. I don't know, the word passion came to mind. As always, you are the essence of these sessions. I want to acknowledge your presence. Hello, Parvane. Hello, Matthew. Hello, Marcy. Hello, Nan. Hello, guest from Tucson, Arizona. Very good to see you here. And I want to introduce today's topic, which is, as I already said, very important to me. We live in times that, goes without saying, are not the easiest of times. There were those who were worse and there were those who were better. But regardless of these circumstances, we all, as we are here, are in need of emotional healing and emotional cleansing. This is something that has not certainly is being taught at schools, at universities, that other than nourishment, nutrient, movement, we are in daily need of emotional healing to take care of our psyche. Because it goes without saying that every human, the biggest trait of the human, Homo sapiens, let's use a scientific term, it's our ability to experience emotions. Unlike other creatures, the extent to which we experience emotions is absolutely incredible. And yet nobody talks about the daily need to emotional cleansing and emotional healing. Nobody questions the fact that you have to have a breakfast to function, the fact that you have to brush your teeth, the fact that you have to take a shower and cleanse yourself physically. It seems like emotional healing and emotional cleansing is highly underrated. And only when we are completely, quote unquote, emotionally dirty, emotionally exhausted, we reach out for, either guided meditation or any other form of help, because we get ourselves to the point where just a gentle brushing is not enough. We need a deep cleanse. And I want to address that in today's session because the purpose of this session is to live your life more fulfilled, more conscious. And that certainly includes the acknowledging the emotional part. That is, like I said, even it is obvious, it makes a lot of sense. Hardly anyone really does anything about it. And I need your help to do it myself because I'm one of those people that very often forget. Sure, I do my meditation practice. I try to be aware of what is happening around me. But I need a community of people to remind me sometimes that, well, there is maybe a little bit of dirt on your emotional landscape, and maybe there's something someone asked me, "How are you doing?" Oh, it seems to me you may be in need of some emotional cleansing, in need of help with that, because our personal awareness is very subjective. We may seem to be okay with the things they are, but that not necessarily mean that the things are the best they can be for us. So, Conscious Living Collective is, for those of you who are joining for the first time. By the way, raise your hand if you're joining for the first time. I'd be curious to know if you are here for the first time. And oh, hey, Sue. Hello, Marcy, Erica, Deb. Oh, good to see you. Very good to see you here. I completely lost my train of thought. So Bobby is here for the first time. Let me just come back to the first timers. Bobby, first timer, hello, good to see you here. Oh, Viviana is definitely not here for the first time. Hello, Viviana. Good to see you again to Conscious Living Collective, to new time slot. By the way, for those of you who are attending the sessions of Conscious Living Collective, we will have the session, another session on Wednesday. So feel free to sign up already if you can, and I will definitely see you then. But before that happens, come back to emotional cleansing. And if you look at the title of today's session, is not just an emotional cleansing, but is emotional cleansing through self-compassion. Because self-compassion, or before we even go to self-compassion, let's talk about self-friendliness, acknowledging our struggle with various things, is the fundamental aspect of emotional cleansing. If you do not approach this topic with self-friendliness, self-compassion, it will be very difficult to achieve any form of healing, because healing does not start with changing external circumstances. Healing very often starts with acknowledging your predicament and seeing what you can do about the current state of affairs. Thank you, Parvana, for mentioning it, because emotional cleansing is one of my offerings in the vast library of my guided meditations. I want to invite you to. So, yes, there is a meditation called Emotional Cleansing. Feel free to check it out after this session or later this week. Also, there is a very recent meditation called Emotional Cleansing and Mind Reset, which are very much connected. And I want to briefly talk about it today. And to do it, as always, I prepared a cheat sheet. There you go, emotional healing. So I want to begin by, like I said, acknowledging that self-compassion, self-friendliness, to take it one level underneath self-compassion. I think self-friendliness is it's, for me personally, it's a bit easier to achieve. Self-compassion, when I think about it, is something that kind of arises, and I cannot really force it. In a sense, I cannot make myself being self-compassionate. It is much easier for my analytical brain to be friendly towards myself. I'm not compassionate. I'm not feeling some deep uprisal, deep emotion, but I'm being friendly to myself. Just to, give myself a pat on the shoulder, acknowledging that I am a human being. And I think the understanding of what self-compassion is very important these days. And I want to use, to that extent, I prepared something to understand better what self-compassion is and why it is foundation of emotional healing. when we are using terms like self-friendliness or friendliness or self-kindness, I really like the self-kindness part. We are replacing something that it's always underneath a lot of our thinking, which is self-criticism. If you know me, I have only 5 or 10 guided meditations that address the self-critic, which is a subroutine of our consciousness. And I must confess to you, I am very self-critical person. My mind, through a lot of practice, was shaped into that very analytical, critical thinker, and that criticism is very often directed towards the self. So my self-critic, I very, for those of you who will listen to me, I have a name for him. I call him the professor, the analytical part of my brain that always has something to say. And those words can be harsh, can be self-critical. This part can be addressed through self-kindness, self-friendliness. So unlike the harsh voice of the self-critic, the voice of self-friendliness is gentle and supportive. Again, it can start simply by giving yourself a pat on the shoulder. I'm a human being. I'm a Homo sapiens, designed with deep running emotions in our psyche. So yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think that if you were to compare your self-critic and the part that is self-compassionate, what is the ratio of one to the other? I'm using scientific terms. I want to quantify the self-critic versus the part of you that is self-compassionate or self-kind, self-friendly. I'm thinking to myself right now, I think would be the good of days, 80 to 20. 80 being the self-critic and 20 being the friendly, self-compassionate self. Yeah, what is this to you? Martha, you agree? You agree on the ratio, or which part you agree on? I'll be curious to know. The ratio, okay. Do we have someone whose ratio is a bit different? Deb, 75-15. Yeah, okay. So self-critic 90 and self-friendliness 10. Yeah, I think we're going into more realistic. I must say that most of days will be, I would be with you, Sue. Yeah, like I said, it's the balance is definitely on a good day is 20, it's 80-20. On a usual day, it's definitely below that threshold. So that's why is important in order to understand what self-compassion is, the component of self-compassion. I would say it's self-kindness. And replacing, before we feel that deep emotional release and being compassionate towards yourself, we must acknowledge that the component that is countering self-compassion, which is self-criticism. And on top of that, we must recognize the common factor. It's a common humanity. Suffering is a shared human experience. I said that many times in our previous sessions, that acknowledging our human predicament as is, as opposed to what we wish it to be, it's a very important thing and helps with self-criticism, because self-criticism is fed by nature, but some idealistic picture of how the life's supposed to look like, which is drastically different to what life really is. So recognizing on the intellectual level that it's our human condition to suffer, it helps us feel less isolated when we in pain, when self-compassion, when we in that 80% or 90%, where self-criticism really takes over. And another component, so we have a self-kindness before the self-compassion, common humanity, understanding of the suffering component of our existence. And also the only way to actually recognize that the self-compassion, if arises, requires mindfulness. Sometimes we wash over those positive emotions that arise, however briefly, because we are not aware. Our mind simply jumps from one emotion to the other, and knowing the dynamic of negativity bias, we know that we more likely to dwell upon the negative emotions and miss the part when maybe we have a chance to be self-kind and show ourselves that self-friendliness when things are a bit better. So, as you said, this is the part of what we do. Oh, hell, Diane. Good to see you here. Oh, wonderful. So many familiar faces in today's session. And I want to acknowledge my wonderful members of my Patreon program. We meet to discuss the very topics, but in a more intimate setting every fortnight or every week, if you wish, considering time zones. I created Patreon program to create kind of, I call the inner circle, where rather than me talking to the screen and just seeing icons floating under my screen, we have a Zoom gatherings, as I call them, and we discuss them in a more intimate setting. It's a small group, it's an inner circle, but you are always, if you know me, if you meditated with me in my meditations, if you use my meditations for a long time and you've been coming to Conscious Living Collective for a long time and you wish to take it to the next level and you're seeking that support of a more intimate collective, you're welcome to check my program. You simply type my name with the word patron or go to my website, my name, my surname. There are many ways of finding it. It's not too easy. It's certainly, if you go to my Inside Time profile, there's a website there and you can find it on my website, Patreon program. So thank you guys for being here and for your support. So it is important to understand what self-compassion is and why self-compassion is so important in order to heal, to emotionally heal. And as the second point of my cheat sheet is letting go of inner criticism. And you see how it feeds into what I already said. It's built into self-compassion, right? There's no self-compassion if we hold strongly to the inner criticism. So we need to learn practical steps to quiet self-judgment and replace it. Only then, it starts with awareness of the self-judgment. And when we recognize the self-judgment, I'm an analytical person. So for me, it's that you can use the inner dialogue and say, is the self-judgment that I'm hearing right now helpful for my emotional state? How does it contribute in a positive way to solving a problem? And when the answer to that question is, maybe it's not that helpful, you can replace that with, self-friendliness and recognizing, okay, I'm just a human. It's okay. And then even next level to letting go of self-criticism is to be in places like this, where we all recognize we are part of the same group, same collective. We experience the same emotions, and you are not alone. So yes, that's why I'm here. It's a big part of the reason, because I like it. I like your company, even though it's purely virtual. Um, so yeah. And the next part is letting go of inner criticism as a step towards emotional healing. I just want to bring myself to recognize the topic for today. It's emotional healing through self-compassion. And we basically describing steps that lead towards experiencing firsthand emotional healing. So first of them is to understanding what self-compassion is. And second of all is begin or being aware of the natural component of our psyche, which is self-criticism. And when recognizing it, knowing the steps that lead to letting go of that self-criticism. Not entirely. We cannot destroy self-critic and say, oh, now be gone now and forever. No, we simply, the only thing we can do, we can acknowledge this is part of our psyche, that it always will be with us, and we putting it into the right place. My metaphor that very often use is, rather than self-critic being in a driving seat of our experience, we putting it as a passenger and saying, oh, do you want to go for a ride? No worries. But you're not going to drive this car. I'm in the driving seat. My self-compassionate, self-friendly or friendly me, and you just a passenger. So yeah, steps towards emotional healing, self-compassion through letting go of inner criticism. And that can only happen, and I already lead towards that point, by engaging in your awareness. So in the meditation that will follow this introduction, we will practice being aware of what is happening, because there's no emotional healing without engaging your awareness in a conscious way. That's why I call the healing power of awareness, because awareness is your superpower. Nothing can and will happen without you being aware of it. When we are unaware, when you run on autopilot, I mentioned that so many times, and I recognize that so much in my life. Every time I run on autopilot, the default, the steering wheel is that of the self-critic. Unfortunately, is that of, okay, what's wrong with the world? What's wrong in general? So by engaging our power of awareness, we become in the driver's seat of the experience, and we can beginning to understand what self-compassion is. We begin recognizing and then letting go of inner critic. There's no there's no healing, emotional healing, without engaging in self-awareness practices. And that's what we will do today together. Again, the aspect of togetherness is arguably one of the most important ones. We do it ourselves, but it's so much better, so much more powerful when we combine our awarenesses. I think I'm making up words, but why not? We combining our awarenesses. I think what I want to say, we're engaging the collective consciousness, a conscious activity, which is amplified and more powerful, and hence the healing is also amplified. Deb is asking, is any kind of judgment helpful? That's an excellent question, Deb. And I personally think that any criticism can be used for good or for evil. The unaware criticism, the subroutine called self-critic, is gonna just run you down. Oh, you're not good enough. You're this, you're that, you're that. Ask yourself when you catch the inner critic, was that helpful? If it was helpful, do not cross the road with your phone in hand. Is that criticism helpful? Well, if it's helpful, then perhaps you could adjust your behavior. But self-critic by nature is unconscious, subroutine. The moment, that's why the power of awareness that can dismantle self-critic very quickly. So absolutely, Deb. Judgment is help us to adjust the course of our actions, but only if it's conscious. Right? I try, for instance, the criticism. Okay, maybe I should adjust the level of music. Right? I made a judgment that the level of music I'm providing on Insight Timer is maybe too high or too low. Maybe there's no music. So I'm judging myself a bit for not being the best I can. That potentially can lead me, and always does to some extent, to improving the quality of these sessions. Something that comes to mind because I think about sessions of Conscious Living Collective a lot, and I always try to improve them, make them better for your benefit and your enjoyment, and also for my benefit, because I like to be of service to the best possible, the highest possible degree. I'm utilizing my consciousness and my awareness, power of my awareness, in the work of good, as opposed to self-criticism, which contributes simply to squashing my spirit, quote unquote. Ginger, thanks so much. Discernment, maybe rather than the judgment, perhaps. And English language comes very handy here to, again, recognize, and that's through power of awareness. Is it judgment or is it discernment? And we can play with words and help us to understand the process through which self-healing arises. I think self-critic left unchecked leads to emotional damage, and discernment supported in conscious awareness leads to emotional healing and self-improvement and self-growth. I think I would say self-growth understood as opening our horizons to depth of the reality, not as is in the light of the inner critic, which is just a small sliver of the reality and very narrow angle, as opposed to wider understanding of the reality as is, that offers so much more than just slow sliver, small narrow angle of the self-critic. Yeah, great question, Deb. And Ginger, thank you so much for introducing the word discernment. Certainly the word English is not my first language. I'm still learning. I'm still improving for the betterment of myself and to be more of service to you. So there you go. I've learned something today. There we go. Another way of intellectually bringing awareness to our actions. Sue says, what helps me a bit is to realize that it doesn't have to be perfect to be good. And there is a saying that addresses that very thing, is that perfect is the enemy of good. I think it goes something like that. And please do correct me if I'm wrong here. And me being a perfectionist, I very much understand that being perfect is the great enemy of good, because good very often is more than enough. Let me share with you something that I've learned in my scientific exploration. back in the day when I was working in the lab, perfectionism was very much the enemy of the good. And what I mean by that, when I designed molecules and I was synthesizing molecules in the lab by means of organic chemistry, I very often wanted to achieve the best possible yield. What that means is if I bring two or multiple components, I wanted to put them together in a way that is the most efficient way. So say if you have component A and component B, you bring them together by the means of organic chemistry, creating processes to create a new molecule. So say from A and B, you have an AB that have different new properties. You wanted to combine them as efficiently as possible. So yield would represent the number, how efficiently you used up those two components. So yield of 0 means that none of the A and B were combined together, and yield of 100% means that A and B combined perfectly. And in chemistry, that's it's not possible to achieve 100% yield. So if you read a scientific paper, you hardly ever will see that yield was 100%. If the yield was very, very, very good and process went to the completion, normally they would report it as the so-called 99 plus, right? They never say 100%, there's 99 plus, which means that vast majority of the molecules were converted from substrate to product. However, what I've learned in the years and years I spent in the lab, that it's fairly easy for the most chemical reactions to bring them to, say, the range of 80%. Right? You bring them together, you apply the method, and you get to the 80. You're gonna spend say 50% or 10 or 20% of energy bringing them to 80% yield. But in order to bring them from 95 to 100% yield, you're gonna spend 10 times as much energy as it would take you from 0 to 80. Right? So that's why perfectionism, it's very, particularly in science, it's very noble, but it may exhaust you. So this is a very good point to make. That perfect is the enemy of good. Perfect is the enemy of progress. Perfect is the enemy of done. All these things came up when Googling perfect. Excellent. Thank you, Deb, for helping me out to put it into the right words. So there you go. It's a fairly easy to feel good about yourself most of the time, but it will be very difficult to feel perfect and ideal a lot of the time. So this is great insight in our conversation. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so understanding self-compassion as a way for emotional healing, by letting go of self-criticism, by engaging the healing power of awareness, and by reconnecting with your inner self. So all that work of healing is in the means of reconnecting with your inner self. And what that's the inner self? Inner self is the aspect, the holistic aspect of self, the way I understand it, that includes the components of self-criticism, of ego, personality, conditioned mind, and more. So we're going underneath of all this and recognizing that all these are just the aspects, and we can observe them from a distance of the inner self that is much larger and all-encompassing, rather than limited to just a narrow angle of self-criticism, of perfectionism, of things they supposed to be as opposed to things they are. For me personally, when I feel self-critical, when self-critical, the professor kicks in and and kicks my butt, the easiest way is by bringing awareness to the world around me. Even though my eyes are open, let me share with you, I can sit and I can ponder upon things, and my eyes are open, but I don't see. And only when I engage in awareness, I recognize there's a world around me. There's something else. And I can look outside. I can recognize that outside of the narrow process of thinking and my thoughts, there is so much more, including my immediate environment, that my open eyes are engaged, body completely are, this information being filtered out. And by including that in my awareness, very often helps to dismantle and begin the process of healing of the present moment, the power of now, the power of awareness through engaging with our immediate environment. I'm still here. I'm good. I'm not perfect, but I'm good. I'm healthy. My body is not optimal, but it's more than good. And you see how I engage in the works of the inner self that encompasses more, that all the aspects that we already recognized of self-critic, including self-critic. So healing in that sense, emotional healing, is a process of letting go of the small bits of our personality that is embedded, and very often that awareness focuses on unconsciously, and expanding to understand there is more. The inner world is an expanded one if we choose to explore it through using our superpower of awareness. That's our superpower. If you see how the world works around us, what we are required to do, that very often has to do with our awareness. People, governments, mass media, they compete not to get our money, not to get our bodies, but get to our awareness, to get your attention. As long as your attention is focused on them, on the external, that's where the importance is. Think about a politician that prepared the most amazing, insightful speech and deliver it to an empty hall. That no attention or no awareness was given to that speech. What would that mean to that person? It would be useless. It has no meaning. You are giving meaning to everything around you by giving your attention and awareness, by giving yourself and recognizing that the power of awareness, exploration of the inner self, is the fundamental function that we are here for on this planet, to recognize the power of awareness that in this particular scenario of the Earth learning system, as I call it, is to focus your awareness on the life around you. And you have responsibility and opportunity, I would say, responsibility, opportunity to use your awareness in a way that helps you grow, helps you live conscious and fulfilled life, both individually and collectively. So think about that just for a second. Reconnecting with your inner self. If you don't recognize that you are beyond, you're more than your thoughts, more than your physical body, more than the self-criticism, the emotional healing is not possible. Emotional healing is when you disengage. I'm going to use once again, example of a car. When you put in neutral, all of a sudden you recognize that your body has an incredible, amazing ability to heal itself. But as long as it is engaged in self-criticism, in when the stress hormones are in your system and they continually damaging your body, the healing may not occur. So very often healing is a process of letting go, not necessarily actively engaging, saying, I'm healing right now, I'm healing right now, I'm healing right now. The healing will happen in the absence of the stimuli, in the absence of engagement, when you switch the gear into neutral. So emotional healing very often is not an active process, but is the process of letting go of all the things that stand against emotional healing that happens in the absence of the stimuli once again. And how we can do it, how we can achieve, how we can disengage with all those aspects that go against our inner healing, by grounding yourself in the present moment. Because present moment, right here and right now, that's where the awareness lies. If you attended my previous sessions, you know that mind bounces between the past and anticipation of the future. It's never in the present moment. Awareness, on the contrary, only can exist in right here, right now, and it's already fulfilled. Mind is never fulfilled. The mind is seeking new engagement, new stimuli, more and more and more. The classic example of dopamine overstimulation. Swiping to the left, swiping to the right, swiping to the up, swiping to the down, new, more. That's what your brain wants. That's how you train your brain, by the way. It's not necessarily that's the only function of your brain. That's how we're training ourselves. When you disengage with that vicious circle, a different aspect, you give an opportunity for different aspects of the self to come to the surface. The present moment, fulfillment is already here. Using, I don't know, the reference to Bible, kingdom of heaven is at hand. That's what how I understand that phrase from Bible. It's not something that's going to happen in the future. That's understanding that your mind has, nor has been an opportunity in the past. Oh, I lost opportunity and this is it. No, it's in hand. It is right now. So understanding that about your psyche, about your awareness, the ability awareness to zero on the present moment and right here, right now, it's absolutely fundamental if we are to experience emotional healing. So the way I understand emotional healing and I want to present to you is we slowly, and right now very soon I will guide you into a meditation where we will ground ourselves in the present moment and will let the healing occur by recognizing all the aspects that we are missing if not engaging in self-friendliness. Without self-friendliness, without self-compassion, there's no emotional healing. So once again, for those of you who joined me later, I just want to say that I recorded quite a few meditations on this topic, both on the topic of inner critic, but mostly on the topic of emotional healing. One of those meditations called emotional cleansing. This is an old meditation. And the newer version of this meditation is called emotional cleansing and mind reset. Because, as I will try to propose to you, emotional healing is by the means of disengaging with the cognitive processes that are happening in your brain on autopilot. As Deb correctly pointed out, not all criticism is wrong. And Ginger mentioned judgment, replace the word judgment with, and criticism with discernment. And then you arrive in a point of the present moment that has potential to restore the ability to your body to heal itself and facilitate emotional healing as a result. So are you guys ready do you have any questions before we jump into the experiential part of Conscious Living Collective, which is always the part that, I would say meditate, but we are connecting with the present moments through the means of awareness, through the power of awareness. That's what we do. And I think my understanding of meditation evolved over years, and I want to share that with you, for hopefully for your benefit, and also for benefit of mine, because every single person who sits here wants to have a positive, empowering, enriching experience, and that is my intention. And if we are to have that experience, this experience has to be grounded in this present moment. And that's why Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of now. We're engaging that our ability to be here and now, and to experience how it is to be here and now. Yeah, thank you, Deb. My 6 Pillars course also talks about it. So for those of you who hasn't seen it yet, and I know, Deb, you did, thank you so much, by the way, and quite a few of you that are with us right here, right now. My course on Insight Timer called 6 Pillars of Conscious Living obviously mentions the topic of self-awareness being one of the pillars of conscious living, obviously, and everything that flows out of it. Parvani, 2 years ago for my birthday, promised myself to stop painting the past, fearing the future, and be here now. Still working on it. Yes. Oh, hey, Sandy, thanks. Good to see you here. And thank you for taking the course. I saw your comments there. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is, and Parvana mentions before we jump into meditation, this is a very good point. We will never be perfect. We will never go to 100%, being 100% self-aware. Nobody can. So we will go with the 80% mark. If any of us could achieve 80% of awareness all of the time, we all would live very, very fulfilled and content life. I have no doubt about that. So in this moment, I want you to just recognize the fact that we are not here to be perfect. We are here to be good. And even being good, you can feel perfectly fine. This is a word play, obviously, on the topic, but be that as it may. Let me see if my meditation screen will work this time. Oh, there's a meditation screen. There's no me. Wonder what happened here. Can I change it? I'm not sure if I can. So, Deb say, I would be feel accomplished at 50. Oh, I'm with you on this one, Deb. All right, guys. So here we are. It's just a screen and my voice. And hopefully this flame will represent our ability to be here and now. And as always, I prepared something to practice presence and allow the emotional healing to occur. I want to support us in this journey by using, today rather than using the work of Peter Helland, as you know, I very often use, I will go with Pablo Arellano and his Space of Love. Somehow, some way, I felt very called to use this a musical piece to start our exploration of self-compassion and healing that goes with it. So let me just acknowledge the Pablo Arellano Space of Love. Okay. So this music starts very quietly and very slowly. But it will build, I promise. So before you close your eyes, look at the screen. And see what that flickering flame represents for you. Begin by acknowledging that you are a human being, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Acknowledge that your body and mind has an ability to heal itself. And the healing will occur if and when we get out of the way of ourselves. Emotional healing is the function of here and now. And it begins with acknowledging the power of conscious awareness that removes obstacles from the healing to occur. I want to invite you right now to switch the gears of your mind and put it in neutral. See that in this very moment, you are feeling safe, secure, and you are protected from any danger, any harm. You feel completely safe to explore the space of here and now to facilitate the emotional healing that is a function of your body and mind when you let go of self-judgment, self-criticism. When you let go of dwelling in the past and anticipation of the future, and you ground yourself in here and now. You are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. This may not have been the case in the past. And there will be times in the future that you may not be aware of that. But in this very moment, in this sacred space, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. If there's a part of you that goes against the motion of you being loved, you being worthy, and you are being enough, it is very likely to be the judgmental self-critic. So acknowledge it, but also firmly state you are not in the driver's seat. I am greater than the narrow point of view of the self-critic. I am powerful awareness that encompasses various states of mind and body and is beyond a narrow view that judges the past, is afraid of the future. Connect your awareness with the inner sensations of your body. What does your awareness tell you? It is likely there may be still tension, tightness, congestion of a sort. And by acknowledging it and start being aware of it, or better, bringing awareness to these sensations, you begin to dissolve them, letting go of them, experiencing cleansing of any and all blockages that may get in the way of your healing and rejuvenation. And if once again you find yourself engaged with the inner critic, acknowledge it once again and say, once again, you are not me. You are just a function that I can use when it serves me, and I disengage with when it does not serve me. I am greater than just my mind. I am greater than my physical body. Here and now, you are free from suffering. Here and now, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are enough. Use the power of your awareness that you are to go beyond the small mind, go beyond bodily sensations that may feel unpleasant but are simply a function of your emotional state. Expand your view and look at all this from a perspective of expanded awareness that you are the inner self that include all the functions, but it's so much more than the functions of your body and mind that we identify ourselves with. Allow yourself to be comforted by expanding beyond all this that limits you. And recognize that you are connected with everyone who meditates right here and right now with you. Also expanding and growing in consciousness beyond the functions of your body and mind. And right now, I will let you to explore this space of awareness on your own as I stand by your side, holding the space. And now it is time to come back and return feeling more at ease, more rejuvenated. Experience emotional healing when you let go of any and all things that may get in the way of this process. Check in with yourself and see, how do you feel? Do you feel a bit more kind towards how you feel right now and how you feel? What is your current experience telling you about the current circumstances? Now, move your awareness to engage your physical senses that ground you in the physical reality, that ground you in the physical now. Your hearing, the sound of my voice, the sound of music, your sight, even with your eyes closed. You can engage with your vision, brighter and darker spots. Anything else that comes through that sense to your awareness. Sense of smell, sense of taste. Even if you don't find anything there, you still can engage them and recognize them in this process. And finally, sense of touch. That includes the awareness of the boundaries of your physical body and how they are connected with the room around you, the space that surrounds you. Feel free to include a gentle movement. Move your fingers, gently wiggle your toes. Slowly and gently tilt your head to the left. Feel the muscles of your neck stretching. Tilt your head to the right. Feeling the muscles of your neck on the other side. Back to the center. And finish up with one deep cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And when ready, open your eyes and welcome back. We are back from conscious exploration. As always, thank you so much for your presence. Thank you so much for meditating with me. The experience of meditating with you always is amplified. As I try to convey in my guidance, there is an aspect of connecting through awareness, connecting our unique individual consciousnesses, even though the consciousness is one, but our individual we are individual units of consciousness, a term that is was coined by Tom Campbell, which I like. a very precise scientific term, stripped out of any romanticism of that others provide. But I like it. I'm a scientist at heart. I like precise terms. So it felt really good, and it felt that the healing happened. The tension, as a result, tension was released when I was able to let go. How did you feel during this session? Carmela says her first time here, so I'm glad you enjoyed. Perhaps you could share with us in one word, how did you come out at the other side of this meditation? I'd be curious to know. This is part of our tradition here on Insight Timer and Conscious Living Collective. I'm glad you feel wonderful, Deb. That's great. Thank you. Carmela, feel more serene. That's good. By the way, let me turn off the cheat sheet. I think we don't need it anymore. Rachel feels centered. Deanie, peace and calm. Erica, calm. Anna, touch base. Okay. So happy to hear. Oh, Diane, a release. Oh, yeah, I can feel you. I can feel we are carrying so much with us. A backpack full of various experiences, filled with emotions that, even though are non-physical, they can weigh us more than stones and boulders. We will continue and come back to Conscious Living Collective on Wednesday. So at the end of the session, feel free to sign up for the session and receive a notification. If you are here for the first time, consider going to my profile and following me there for updates on my new meditations. If you liked this meditation, there are at least two I can think of in the library of my meditation. One called Emotional Cleansing, that leads to emotional healing, and the newest one called Emotional Cleansing and Mind Reset, that encompasses all the topics that we included in this meditation. Erica, thank you so much for your very generous and kind support. Also, as Parvana mentioned, as Deb mentioned, my course here on Insight Timer called 6 Pillars of Conscious Living very much includes emotional healing and the power of self-awareness in the center of our experience. So it is worth visiting and listening to it, and with the hope that it will bring you more insight into your daily living and how to include in a practical ways the steps that we considered during this session. There's also, as I mentioned, my Patreon program, which is I call the Inner Circle. We meet every week or every other week, depends on your time zone, to talk about those topics. It happens via Zoom, so we can see each other. It's more intimate, it's more close. The group is much smaller, so you have your voice to share your experiences and to be part of a very special group of wonderful people, to feel more support, to feel more inclusiveness in these very special sessions that I offer through the Insight Timer program, through Patreon program. Last but not least, this is the top tier offering of mine, my mentoring sessions. They used to be called mentoring. This is simply, I call it counseling. I think counseling is the closest to what description that I resonate with. When I work with you one-on-one to address your personal individual path and lead you or help you together to go walk that path, to more empower you in all your goals, all what you want to achieve, to help you heal emotionally and physically more effectively. And this is something I enjoyed very much. This is my top tier offering. If you are ready for it, feel free to go to my website and consider it. But for now, that's it. Thank you so much for your presence and for offering me the most important gift that you have to offer, the gift of your attention. I very much appreciate it, and I want to show you my gratitude for it. I will leave you with someone corrected me, the pronunciation of Pablo Arellano. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. I really love to pronounce his name correctly, considering the beautiful music that this man produces. So yeah, I want to leave you with him. Have a wonderful day, a pleasant night wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then.